Right, welcome to this complete army overview videos for the Thousand Sons. This is the secret project that I've been working on the Plus channel. It's a new faction. It's 2,000 points and the army is finished. So in this video here, I'm going to build up the whole list, work through one unit at a time, build up the whole list here, talk about the whole army, the strategy, the battle plan for them, and then we'll see how well they do in games on both the channels. Elements of this army have already been in action, all the way up to 1,750 points, have been in action in multiple battle reports already on the Plus channel. So I've already been getting an idea of how they play. So there's that battlefield experience and army development as well has been taking place as this secret project has been going on. It's taken about an average really for an army, about a year it's taken to build these up. So this is a big announcement now really to see the Thousand Sons land on the regular channel and to let them loose against everybody else. They'll happily fight against every other faction that's out there. So some interesting times ahead as the Thousand Sons make their entry. Some more chaos, corruption coming onto the channel. But a very visually fantastic looking army. Yeah, great sculpting work the Games Workshop have done. So I couldn't resist. I've gone for a 2,000 point list of Thousand Sons. It's complete and ready to go. In this video we'll talk about the whole army. It's going to be a tactics video here. If you check out Start Collecting, there's a Start Collecting video here for the Thousand Sons. Check that out. It'll be more of a visual idea of just collecting the army, so I'll zoom in, we'll take a look at some of the units and so on. So check that out to get an idea of what the models look like and the feel of them in that video. But for this video here, it's more tactics. Got the codex here, got my list. I'll talk about the whole army and the battle plan in this video. So just the overall, when I came to collecting Thousand Sons, it was just the gold and the blue armour, the Egyptian style, the beautiful sculpting work. So I really wanted to go for a nice showcase army, but one that had a nice theme to it as well. The big emphasis for Thousand Sons is this advancing tide here of Marines and then all these other abominations floating around. So I did want to feature Rubic Marines and have like a core to the army. So you've got like an outer fringe, all the strange stuff going on, you see that represented. Then you've got the inner circle of my more elite choices, and they're the bodyguard, they're the protection for the actual HQs and the command structure of the army. So it's that kind of layers built up. The outer rings to take most of the damage, you'll see them perhaps get blown away quite often in games. Then you've got the protective bodyguard, Rubic Marines and so on. And the whole aim for my army is to try and protect the HQs buried in the middle. They're the dangerous ones. They're the ones dishing out loads of smite and psychic powers and causing trouble. And the opponent has to try and chew his way all the way through the army in order to get to those HQs finally. So that's sort of the theme, and also the tactics for the army as well. So you'll see Thousand Sons here. Mixture of units, these elites here, which I've gone for, and I really wanted to go for units that had that whole the Egyptian style colour scheme going on, so the Terminators, I'm talking about the Rubic Marines and so on. So let's just give you an idea of the theme. Just flick for a bit more of the book. So this is your sort of colour scheme here, that beautiful blue and then the gold, burnished gold kind of look to it as well. And that's that artwork there. So really, I do try and put armies together that are influenced by the artwork and try and create an army that matches the theme and fluff for the Thousand Sons here. So again, look, this solid infantry, but then all these characters, Exalted, sorcerers and so on, all nearby, in and around, all protected. So that's the kind of idea going on with those. Different colour schemes. I just wanted to go straight for there's all different options, but I just wanted to go for the standard Rubic Marines, that standard colour scheme for the Thousand Sons. That was the whole idea. So I think the strength of this army is the HQ choices that I have. So they'll just make an impact over each turn, but as long as they stay alive, I can keep as many HQs as possible alive, then they'll become more and more powerful as the game goes on. You're dishing out smite and other psychic powers, causing trouble throughout the game, and if they survive towards the end, Thousand Sons should be in pretty good shape. If they lose their HQs early on, I think the army's going to crumble. So that's the kind of idea. So the whole point is to build up this protective ring around them, keep those HQs alive, and if I do that, then the army stands a good chance of doing well. Psychic power is a massive aspect as well. So you'll see very psychic heavy, but that again matches the fluff and the whole theme of the Thousand Suns. That's meant to be their emphasis, is their stronger psychic ability. So I've gone for that as well. So some incredible models, very, very nice. The other thing I wanted to do with this is to avoid regular Space Marine, Chaos Space Marine units. I wanted to go for units that are unique to the Thousand Suns, and most of them, I won't say all of them, but most of the units I have are unique to the Thousand Suns. So I wanted to go for that. That's the codex, they're just giving you a showcase here. And even the lineup they've gone for, mostly infantry. So the structure of the army then, it's a battalion detachment and then a supreme command detachment as well. So it's 9 command points, a nice healthy amount of command points available for this list. So HQs. People are saying, well, you should take Magnus the Red. He's not in this list. I've instead gone for AHRIMAN here. So AHRIMAN's in, painted up, and again, check out the Start Collector video. I'll zoom in and you get a nice close look at these models, how they've come up. Really happy with how he's come out. He's a big model. Despite being an infantry model, he is big. So he has made it into the army. It's just matching the theme that I'm going after. Nice, solid psycho choice. It's 5 wounds. He's going to hide behind that protective screen. He can manifest 3 psychic powers and deny 3 as well. And he's got access to Discipline of Change and Dark Hereticus. There's 2 disciplines most of my Thousand Suns sorcerers and so on have got access to. So very, very powerful options available. So 3-up saves or 4+ invuln save. Reroll hit rolls of 1 for Thousand Suns units within 6. So it's a nice enhancement there. There's a bit of close combat ability with him. +2 strength, AP -1, 3 damage with his staff. But primarily I must resist the temptation of chucking him in to close combat. It's the psychic ability they want to take advantage of. And you get +1 to psychic tests or deny the witch tests you take for AHRIMAN as well. It's just a rock solid psycho choice that I've taken. He's 166 points is what I've paid for him. So that's the first HQ. This is the battalion that I'm building up here. So nice solid choice. Then I've gone for a Demon Prince of Tzeentch. Now I didn't really want to take the standard Demon Prince model. I wanted to find something unique and searched around and looking around for inspiration. Found a model, but it's out of production, no longer available, and it's really hard to try and get a hold of as well. Managed to get one shipped over from America. It's really hard to find one of these. They're still out there. You can get a hold of them. It's this one, just to match the whole Egyptian theme. It's this guy, and you know, he matches the stat line and the war gear very well. So, and I've painted him up from, it's the Necro Sphinx, I think it's called. It's from the old Tomb Kings collection. It is in plastic, but out of production here, and very rare to get a hold of. It's very fortunate to get a hold of this one here. He's already constructed, but very happy with how the previous owner had put him together. And then bought the base, matching base of 40k, some smashed up Blood Angel bits here and some heads and some skulls, and then just some other debris on there. But as I said, check out the Start Collecting video for some close-ups of him. But wanted to paint up some of the style of the colour scheme for the Tomb Kings is on there, but also wanted to match in with the same Thousand Suns colour scheme just to link the whole army together. And the stat line for him just matches this model perfectly, so it all fits in really nice. The great thing about the Demon Prince is he's 8 wounds. Just blocking out AHRIMAN there. Go there. Okay. So he's 8 wounds. It's gonna be hard to, there's no damage chart here. He can hide behind my screen again because he's 8 wounds. It's gonna be hard to target that way, so he can hide behind. I had spare points at the end of my list, so I've given him wings, which again, you see the model, I can get away with that. The wings are on there, so I can use that rules, no problem. It's got 4 attacks, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+. This is brilliant. Toughness 8 or toughness 6, 8 wounds, 3-up save, is excellent. So it comes with a set of Malefic Talons. I pay the points and give him a second set of Malefic Talons. And again, I think I could pass those in a game. See that? A pair of Malefic Talons, fine. So no problem there at all. They grant him strengths of the user, which is 7, AP -2 and 2 damage, so cut through Primaris Marines, and you can make an additional attack with this weapon. If it's 2 sets, you get 3 additional attacks. So he's on 7 attacks at 2s to hit. He's on reroll 1s, so he's deadly enough in close combat. And frustratingly for the opponent, he's hidden behind that screen. 4+ invuln save as well. I might experiment with the Warlord. I may well make him the Warlord, the Demon Prince. I'll cover it now at this stage, just because it's the full Tactica here in this video. So you've got all these ones to choose from. Ahriman takes Otherworldly Presence, which is +1 to invuln save, but I'm not really expecting him to get into close combat, so I think that's kind of wasted. So the Demon Prince, there's some great options here. I could give him Otherworldly Presence, in which case we'll get a 3+ invuln save. He's more likely to be sent out into close combat, so that may well prove helpful. There's another great one here as well. Yeah, Alpha Stride. Your Warlord can advance and charge in the same turn and reroll failed charges. That's incredible. So with wings, it's going 12 inches. You can advance and charge and reroll charges. Very quick. So that may well be a useful Warlord. I'll probably experiment with these different options. There. So I think that's everything. The great thing about him as well, he can manifest 2 psychic powers and deny 1 as well, and he's got access to Discipline of Change, Dark Hereticus, and Discipline of Tzeentch as well, so it's a full spread. 12, 18 potential powers he can choose from, plus Smite. So I think a very, very valuable choice, this Thousand Sons army. Plus, yeah, the core of my army, not too much for close combat, geared up, so to have him in the middle at a bit of close combat protection is a great addition to have. And you know, a towering model on the battlefield, because he's 8 wounds, you can't shoot at him unless you got snipers or something like that. So a good choice, I think. So that's him. I'll cover the Supreme Command attachment. For that you have to take 3 HQs, and for that it's the Exalted Sorcerers. It's the box set that Games Workshop produce. I couldn't leave any of them unconstructed. I had to paint all 3 of them. So there's 3 of those to make up that Supreme Command. There's this guy here on the disc, which I've called Disco Inferno as his as his name. So he's been named. There's this one here, and again, check out the Start Collecting video for close-up views. There's that one, and then there's this one here as well. And if you want to, just to mention the Plus channel here, on the Plus channel there's all the tactics videos for these units are already up and running. The army development videos for them, the multiple battle reports already for the Thousand Sons, plenty of those. Wherever you see Secret Army on the channel, that's this army here taking on different opponents at different sized games. And then there's painting tutorials as well, so multiple painting tutorials available for the Thousand Sons also. So if you're really into Thousand Sons or thinking of collecting them, there's tons of content on the Plus channel website as well, and details of that in the description below. But Exalted Sorcerers then, I think they have an excellent stat line. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, they've got 5 wounds, they've got 4 attacks here just for a sorcerer, it's excellent. The staff is decent enough, +2 strength, so they're fighting at strength 6, AP -1 and D3 damage. So brilliant weapon. You know, if all 3 of these charge, there's 12 attacks there at 2s to hit and re-rolling 1s. So, and granted reroll 1s, it's re-roll hit rolls of 1 for any Thousand Sons units within 6. So, you know, it's for shooting and for close combat. So they're there to enhance my battle line, and again to stay hidden, nicely protected, and dishing out those psychic powers. You know, I've got multiple units that can smite here. Thousand Sons not affected by the special rules for smite now, where it gets 1 level harder each time to try and cast it. Start on 5, then 6 and 7. They just stay at 5, so I can chuck out a lot of smite unrestricted. So that's a deadly element to this army. There's 5 models that can chuck out smite, plus other powers. So very, very powerful. They can attempt to manifest 2 and deny 1. So decent psychic ability with those. So points wise then, 127 points for these two, because I give them the stave, and I also give them the warp flame pistol, which is pistol D6, range 6, strength 3, but it's -2, and it's auto hits and the targets are useful enough. I can use it in close combat as well, so I found that useful. And then Disco Inferno here is a bit more expensive, 147 points, when you pay the points to give him the Disc of Tzeentch ability with him. Then the Demon Prince is 180 points with the wings and the talons added on, so 180 points. So that's the points cost so far. But you see these models here, technically this is the aim of the game. This should be the last units to be destroyed. Perhaps my most powerful units, and if I can keep them alive each turn, imagine each of these chucking out smite each turn, plus the other psychic powers, and the opponent has to grind his way through the rest of the army that you're going to see in a moment in order to get to these HQs. And I think that's the strength of the army. So I don't want to use these recklessly. I want to keep them hidden, be patient with them, and keep going, and then towards the end of the game they just become more and more powerful as the opponent's army shrinks down, and they're still at full strength, chucking out the psychic powers, and so on, and mopping up. You know, they've got some close combat ability as well. So in a game, if you start to see these being dropped early on, there's trouble. If you see these enduring, the rest of the army may be being decimated, but if these are surviving, then there's still hope, whatever situation the army finds itself in. So that's the Exalted Sorcerers, 1, 2 and 3, all armed with the Warp Flame pistols, so that, you know, there's D6 shots each here for those, and that fulfills the supreme command. So next then is troops. Now there's a number of options. You got horrors, chaos cultists, which I thought about it but didn't want to go for those. There's Tzaangors, which are unique to the Thousand Sons, and there's Rubric Marines. So I found that multiple units of Rubric Marines can be expensive, and then I don't want them to be the big units because the opponent's just going to direct fire at them and try and take them out. So what I've tried to do is I've taken a unit of Rubric Marines, and then I've flooded the table with other units to try and distract the attention that these may well receive. So Rubric Marines first of all, and they're expensive in points. Still want the army to be tiny. So here they are. So there is a painting tutorial for these on the Plus channel, start to finish, how to reach the standard that you see here in this video. I have gone for a full-sized unit of 10. They look good as units of 10, so happy to take them that size. That's the Aspiring Sorcerer. There they are. They just look, I think they look great. So this is my bodyguard for my HQs. You'll see these hanging around together, and their job is to protect them. So Rubric Marines. Now, usual stat line for a Marine, but a bit slower, 5 inches. The Aspiring Sorcerer goes 6 inches. So the Inferno Bolt gun is decent enough. It's like a bolter, but it's AP -2. So great for clearing away medium and light infantry. So often you'll see I might play these in the reverse of how I use other armies. The Thousand Sons, I'll often try and target the enemy's infantry and hordes first, and then go after other units like tanks and monstrous creatures after that. That's quite opposite to how usually, like if I'm playing Tower for example, I'll try and take out the enemy's tanks and worry about the infantry later. But for Thousand Sons, I want to eliminate the infantry and clear away all the screens and the medium infantry and get rid of those. So a lot of my firepower is geared towards doing that, and then I can mop up the tanks and heavier gear later on. Now the danger is the firepower coming from those heavier targets, but it's my screens and infantry to absorb that firepower first, so the opponent's sort of wasting high caliber firepower taking out infantry models, and that whole time of absorbing that firepower, I'm clearing away the screens and then keeping these alive towards the end. That's sort of the plan. So Inferno Bolters are in here. Good number of these models have them, but I have paid points just to break this down. I've paid points for 2 Warp Flames, so that's those 2. D6 shots each. They are range 8, assault D6, strength 4, -2, and it's auto hits on the target. So You know, great for clearing out hordes and so on. Bit of Overwatch protection also. You know, if the opponent's going to go after my army, I've got a bit of Overwatch protection. 2d6 there. Warp Flame Pistol to him, the Aspiring Sorcerer. So he'll get d6 shots, a bit lower strength, but d6 shots protection there as well. So 3d6 protecting the army, but I still keep a lot of the bolters to dish out that AP -2 firepower. I have taken the Soul Reaper Cannon, so he's in there. Heavy 4, strength 5 -3, so that's very, very good. I can move and shoot heavy weapons. There's no minus, which is great, so I can move no problem at all with the Soul Reaper Cannon with no restriction. 5+ invuln save for these, which can be enhanced and helped out with some of the psychic powers, but 5+ invuln. They also have All Is Dust, +1 to saving throws for Rubric Marines if the attack is a damage characteristic of 1. So that means it's saving throws. So my 3+ armor save becomes a 2+, and my invuln save becomes a 4+ invuln save if it's damage 1 coming through. So that's fantastic. It really is good. It's a lot of firepower that comes through. They're usually very well protected. So it takes a fair bit of effort to entirely destroy this unit. It is a fair bit of effort, and part of the plan is to stop the opponent from targeting these as much, is to have these other units out there the opponent should deal with first, and then I've got a couple of distracting units as well to divert attention away from this. This is the core of the army. If this stays alive, Thousand Sons are doing well. I don't want to have this screen wiped out early on. That will expose them. So, Aspiring Sorcerer, he's got access to a psychic power and he can do a low level smite as well. So, more psychic ability in the army. So, the rest of the troops, you have to take 3. I've got 1 here, but I've taken another 3. Spare points, by the way. I had a spare 5 points, so I love the look of it. It's the Icon of Flame. I don't think it's that great in the game. Roll a d6, start your psychic phase. On a 6, inflict 1 mortal wound to closest enemy unit within 12 inches. So it's very unlikely you're going to do anything. Bit of a waste, but I had a spare 5 points, so I took that. So, I will move these out of the way here. So I've just tilted the camera up and pushed these back just to make a bit of room. So the units that I've gone for is Tzaangors. And again, on the Plus channel, I've just done a painting tutorial for them. I was dreading painting them because they look a nightmare to paint, but they have to come out not too bad, and the technique I show you is actually not too slow. I was worried they're going to take forever because I do have 3 units of 10 of those, so I've had a lot of them to paint. It's loads to get done, but glad to get them done. Now you see how the whole idea behind these is just to bulk the army out. They're big models. You know, they're on the 32mm bases and they're large enough, so they stand, you know, head and shoulders above a guardsman, no problem at all. So, you know, they're cheap horde infantry, but they're big. 1, 2, and then a 3rd unit. I could go for 2 units of 15. That's a possibility. I'm worried a bit about morale though, so I've gone for 3 units of 10. Just had a bit more flexibility. But here they are, still on the screen. Like so. Now all of a sudden the army's just got very big. So Tzaangors, they're going to perform an important function in the army. Their strength and toughness 4, their weapon skill 3+, got a 6-inch move. So you can reroll hit rolls in the fight phase when targeting a character. That's rarely happen, but unit 10 of those surrounding a character should cause trouble. I didn't take the points for the Brayhorn. Aura of Dark Glory. They have a 5+ invuln save, and again with some psychic powers and so on that could be enhanced. But 5+ invuln save no matter what they're hit by, unless it's mortal wounds. So it will take a bit for the opponent to get through them. My prediction in games, these are going to get blown away quite quickly. Don't think they're going to last too long. And then it's to create a false impression. The opponent thinks, right, okay, I'm bringing down. I've just taken out 10 Tzaangors, 15 Tzaangors. Not looking good. But this is my cheap investment here. If I lose a unit of these, it's 70 points. It's no big deal at all. And the whole idea is the opponent diverts and wastes time firing at this screen, and that protects my Rubric Marines and my characters. This is what I'm worried about here at the back. and so these are just 3 units that are throwaway units. I'm not worried what happens to them, and if they're all wiped out in the game, you know, it's not much of a cost. And they're just there to bulk out the army. They get me my battalions, all those command points, and then a screen, a meat shield basically to protect the army. And it just means it's another. Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, it's going to take the opponent a turn or 2 to wipe them out. And that's a turn or 2, they've not been firing other stuff. There's different options you can go for these. You can go for the chainsword and auto pistol. I don't think that's as powerful. I've given them Tzaangor blades. The way I've sculpted these here, in the pack that you get, the plastic kit, you get the 40k option, which is the pistol and chainsword, and then you get the Age of Sigmar option, which is these close combat weapons and shields. I've gone for mixed here. So in here you'll see some with the bolt pistols and auto pistols and chainswords, others with the double-handed weapons, weapon in each hand. Some have the sword and shield, and so I've mixed them up so that I can use them as any combination. So I can say, yeah, they're all auto pistols and chainswords, or I can use them as Tzaangor blades option, and I can justify I've got a mixture going on just here. So I've done it that way because I like the swords and shields as well, and that can sort of represent the invuln save and so on. You do get a twist Bray with an extra attack and better leadership. He's marked in each of the units by the one with the double-handed axe, so that's him, and double-handed axe for him, and then this one with the super long double-handed sword. So I've marked my HQs in those units as well. The Brayhorn's a good option, definitely, but I haven't had the points to do it. So it's 70 points a unit, absolute bargain. With the Tzaangor blades, they get an extra attack. So there's 21 attacks coming from each of these units at full strength. It's here, Tzaangor blades, AP -1, so just to knock a bit off the armour as well. So they charge into some guardsmen. You're going to be wounding them on 3+, and then the guardsmen are going to get a 6+ save instead of a 5+. It all helps. So happily plunge those into most targets just to charge in and cause trouble. So, you know, they're designed to advance, you know, to push aggressively. I want to play this army to move into the middle of the table, so happy to advance to the centre of the board, using psychic powers, shooting as I go along, and then push on into close combat, and then behind that is the screen just dishing out the psychic powers and just oppressing the opponent and wiping out targets through shooting and through psychic powers. So that's the kind of idea. So these are the vanguard, these are the guys at the front absorbing the firepower and charging, being charged, and so on in close combat. So that's the Tzaangors, and beautiful models and great theme going on having those in. I can deep strike units in and try and charge and so on, but we'll see. That's sort of tactics to use depending on the situation in games, but that's that. Okay, so that's Tzaangors. It's just one unit of Rivet Marines, but just a nice showcase, big unit of 10. They're nice bodyguard, and you can see, look, now they're pushed a bit more into the background since these guys have turned up. So, yeah, we'll cover elites next. So my army's got a bit of a sting to it here, and that comes in the form of the Occult Terminators. So what you're looking at here is the ground-based force. My screen, my bodyguard, and then my HQs. And this is the one that's going to move up the board, getting into combat, using psychic powers, shooting as they go along. The next element I have is like my ambush units, the Scarab Occult Terminators, and these are designed to turn up just at the point, the time and the area that I need them to turn up. Their primary aim is to take out infantry, light infantry, medium infantry, even heavy infantry is their primary target, to clear away screens, clear a path, and let the army push through. That's the plan. So I'll bring them in, just stick them here. Again, classic unit for the Thousand Sons. Really nice. So it's these. This is the nastiest sting in the tower. I've gone for unit 2. Or 2 units of 5. So I've got 10 Terminators in the army. Kitted and loaded out. This is my tactical reserve, so I can bring these in to bolster my lines if I need to. Or I can bring them in to ambush someone, catch models in a crossfire. I ambushed a unit of Terminators the other day within one of the Plus channel battle reports. Double deep striked in, and then cut them down. Cut them down. So that's the kind of use for those. The amount of firepower from these is blistering. So you've got the 2 wounds each, you've got 2 attacks each, 2 up save. They come with a 5+ invuln save, and again that could be enhanced and helped a bit. They do come with all his dust. So for example, say they're hit by heavy bolters, AP -1s, they drop to 3 up save, but it's only damage ones, it goes back up to 2 up save. Their invuln save goes up to 4+, and again it can be enhanced and helped with psychic powers as well, potentially a 3+ invuln save also. So powerful units. Moving and firing heavy weapons, no problem at all. That minus doesn't apply for the all is dust special rule. Teleport strike there, so you can deep strike them in. You got the Aspiring Sorcerer here with his option of taking a psychic power and the low level smite. And then the loadout I've gone for, I have taken, because you can fire at different targets now in 8th edition, and you can fire all the weapons that the model's carrying. So one of them has taken the Hellfire missile rack, heavy 2, strength 8 -2 and D3 damage, so I can fire at heavier targets, try and pick up some wounds with that. Then the Soul Reaper cannon is in there as well, 4 nasty shots coming from that. And then the stave I've taken for him, and then inside here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Inferno combi bolters, rapid fire 2. So in 12 inches, remember you can deep strike as long as you're over 9 inches, so often when I land I can get within that rapid fire range. So you've got 4 shots coming from each of those, so 16 shots coming in. It's nasty, and if you're on 2s to hit, you know, with some enhancements and so on, you know, 3s to hit or 2s to hit, rerolling 1s, that's accurate firepower. You know, guardsmen and that kind of screens are in huge trouble. So I like them. And then for close combat, they're all armed with these power swords here, so they can fight decently enough in close combat as well at AP -3. So I like them. I think they're alright. And their firepower, if they do go against vehicles, they'll be able to grind a vehicle down. I think just causing wounds. You know, strength 4 is enough usually to wound most vehicles on a 5+ at least. Plus you've got a bit of more punch with the Soul Reaper cannon, and then the Hellfire missile rack also. So that's most of the army. So these can turn up, you know, pretty much anywhere you want during the game. So if there's some objective somewhere, or the opponent's got some units that I want to try and eliminate, or a character's isolated, I can try and pick him off, and I can send these in, and they can go and fulfill the mission. And they're durable enough to look after themselves. It's going to take a fair bit of effort for the opponent to try and reduce them down on their wounds. Nicely protective, invuln saves, regular armor saves, and so on. So solid enough choices there, I think, for the Terminators. So that's most of the army. In fact, all that's left here to go through in this list is heavy support. I have 2, and again these are to perform a very important function for the army. It's Mauler Fiends. I've always loved the model. As soon as I saw the one painted up by Brian Morrow with his Night Lords, fantastic model, beautiful looking model, yeah, really nicely painted up by him, and I've always liked it, although I've secretly liked it. So I really wanted to try and include those in. They fit in with the overall battle plan for this army really well, and the colour scheme I think is matched in nicely also. So this is the first one I painted. There's actually a painting tutorial for it on the Plus channel for this actual model. I've magnetised the options here, so I can go for the magma cutters. I've gone for lasher tendrils. I think they're much better, but at the moment you never know, codexes and things change, maybe the other way around. So I've just magnetised them here, and they stick on. One goes in there and one goes in there. So I put a bit of blood on the end of these as well. But there he is. Again, you can take your Chaos models and you can just paint them up in the Thousand Suns colour scheme, and you see it just matches in with the rest of the army nicely. So that's him. And then for the second one, so we'll just tuck him in here. I've got some nice vehicles in the army now. I think it just balances it out a bit better. The second one, I wanted to change the pose. I simply just raised him up on his back feet, took some stones from outside, stuck them on with super glue, And then after I finished constructing my Librarian Dreadnought for the Blood Angels, I took some spare bits and put a smashed up version here on the front of this. I released this picture just of this Dreadnought here on my Instagram. So check out Striking Scorpion on Instagram. I do loads of sneak peeks, updates, painting studio updates and so on, new units as they come out, and images from battle reports and so on. That's all on Instagram. Great platform for visual sharing of images and so on. So you can check out the video description below. There'll be a link to my Instagram page. You can follow me there and see the different posts. But great visual social media there that you can follow what's going on. But I'm really happy with how it's come out. You'll see a zoomed in version on the Start Collecting video. But it just raised him up. It changed the pose around. Again, nice lots of blood here on these Lasher tendrils. And magnetizer ready for any future changes. But really happy with how he's come out. And they do work well as a pair. So I've got two of these horrific beasts. I'll just plonk him just there. And you see the way the army's balanced out quite nicely. So they're a bargain now. They've come down in points. I'm paying 152 points for these. Just here. The Terminators, 238 points of all of their upgrades. The Tzaangors is 70. For the Rubik Marines, 252 points. It's expensive, but you know, they're an elite's choice and a pretty solid unit to take. But Mauler Fiends, 12 wounds. There's tons of wounds for these things. 3 up save. They do have a 5+ invuln save. Their toughness 7. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 4+. Now crucially, when they take damage, their weapon skill remains unaffected. So they're always on 4+, which is good. The movement 10, so nice and quick. And often I've caught the opponent out with those. Movement 10, so that's fast enough. Drops to movement 8, then down to 6. Strength is affected though. Strength 6 goes to 5, goes to 4, and then their attacks is affected as well. Strength 4 attacks, 3 attacks, 2 attacks. The combination I go for is for the Lasher tendrils. So the way the rules work, the way I've been playing it, I'm sure this is right. You get your usual attacks. Say you get 4 attacks. I use the fists. So fighting at strength 12, AP minus 3 and 3 damage. It's horrific. And then it says here Lasher tendrils, which is strength for the user, AP minus 2 and 2 damage. Each time the bearer fights, it can make an additional 6 attacks with this weapon. So you get your regular Mauler Fiend fist attacks plus your 6 additional Lasher tendril attacks on top of that. So 10 attacks in total, potentially from these things. They'll happily charge into virtually anything. And as a pair, they can gang up and be pretty deadly. The aim for these, and again, I don't expect these to last particularly long. These are to go out right at the front with the Tzaangors. They're to charge down at the opponent. And so now the idea is the opponent has these two things rushing towards them, and so has to fire at them and destroy them and get rid of them, and that lets the rest of my army move up and lets the Psychers dish out the damage. So the idea is to try and distract the opponent and force them to remove models like this and the Tzaangors before they can even get through to the other targets. And the Terminators, they're off the board usually, so they can't be shot at, and I bring them in when I'm ready. So this is the kind of idea going on here. Knowing that I'm going to lose these, most likely you'll see them being destroyed in the game. But it's to keep my HQs and my elites alive. And these are quite expendable as well. Often the opponent's going to target them, but again, the opponent's got to chew through all of this stuff to try and get through to the HQs. It's a 5+ invuln save, that can be improved. Infernal regeneration, if you don't kill him, you automatically get the wound back. There is a psychic power as well that lets me restore wounds, which I always take on my list. Some psyker somewhere. I had one of these reduced to 1 wound in a game. Again, it's on the plus channel. 1 wound left. The next turn comes along, restored a wound automatically. Played the psychic power, restored more wounds. He went out, it was destroyed in the end, but I got him all the way back up to 9 wounds. So it was either this one or the other one. Brilliant. So the opponent has to destroy it. Temporal manipulation. It's from Discipline of Change. Its warp charge value is 6. It's very likely to go off, and it is D3 wounds restored. And it's just a 1000 Suns model, so anybody here can have that restored, even these vehicles. It does explode if you're on 6. And I've just found it to be really good. And again, these can really be enhanced with psychic powers. So, and stratagems. There's some great stratagems here as well. Demon Forge, reroll failed hit and wound rolls. I mean, that would aid that fantastically. Really, really good. Then you've got the psychic abilities here. So you've got ones like Warp Time. It's Heretic Astartes units. It includes them, so I can move 10, Warp Time 10, and then charge. This is how you can catch the opponent out with those. You can move them up the table very, very quickly. Diabolic Strength is great. So it's +2 to the strength and an extra attack. Excellent. Prescience is +1 to your hit rolls. So, you know, become 3s to hit in close combat. So if you start stacking all that together, you can turn this thing into an absolute killer, potentially. So, enhancements there coming from all the psychic powers. And I've got access to... I've got enough options to take all of these powers in my army and 2 from here. So you're looking at 14 different powers available plus smite. And that's with powers to spare, you know, slots to spare. So I will be doubling up some of these powers. So I'll cover some of the psychic powers in a minute. So it's a major aspect of Thousand Suns, so it's well worth discussing here in this video. That's the Mauler Fiend then. So I'm expecting them to be shot at and so on, but there's a fair chance they'll survive. It'll take a fair bit of firepower to bring them down, and if they do survive, you can plunge them in to close combat. You know, silence vehicles may not destroy them, but stop them from shooting. Plunge them into infantry, happily charge into marines, Primaris marines, and happily fight. No problem at all. So a real menace. These, I plan them to be, and they have been in games that I've used them. So really happy to have them in. I think it just adds a nice element to the army to have these two. See the way it just nicely balances the army out. So I've tried to go for a nice Thousand Suns theme here. A good spread, nice showcase of all the different units. And then competitive, well, see what you think. Leave your comments in the comment section below as to how well you think this army will do. They forged a bit of a reputation already on the Plus channel, but it'd be interesting to see how well they do. I'm planning to let them loose here against all the factions on the channel. We'll see how well they perform. So, yes, right, yeah, and I'm just thinking relics. I take one relic, you get it free of charge. It's Helm of the Third Eye, very straightforward. If your army's battle forged and the wearer is on the battlefield, so I try and choose an HQ that's likely to stay alive. So probably one of the Exalted sorcerers, I think, would be the wisest choice. So one of these two here, probably. Roll a d6 each time your opponent uses a stratagem. So it's very likely. On a 5+, you gain a command point. I know there's FAQ now, you can only gain a maximum of 1 per turn. But a 5+, a good chance of each turn, a chance of getting another command point. So pretty good for command points for this army. A lot of the stratagems that I like are only 1 command point. It's a very healthy situation for command points available. Yeah. So I'll cover relics. I'll cover stratagems here. So there's the Great Sorcerer. You can attempt to manifest another psychic power. There's Demon Forge, which is excellent. Shooting or fight phase, Thousand Suns Demon Vehicle. That's the 2 Mauler Fiends. It's chosen to attack, reroll failed hit, and wound rolls. Very, very powerful. It's only 1 command point. Brilliant one. Carbalistic Focus. I use that one a lot. 1 command point. Use a stratagem before attempting to manifest a psychic power of Thousand Suns Psyker from your army. So in 6 of at least 2 others. I've got lots of options here. You can add 2 to the psychic test. I've got some power, you know, some, say, Warp Time, that must go off, really need it. I can play Carbalistic Focus, make sure that power goes off there. So, Carbalistic Focus, brilliant option to have. Yeah, this Warp Flame Gargoyles, use the stratagem in the fight phase, pick a Thousand Suns vehicle from your army, so that's these 2. Roll a d6 for each unit, friend or foe within 3 inches, subtracting 2 if the roll is for a character or vehicle. On a 4+, the unit being rolled for is d3 mortal wounds. Just a good way of getting you happy to plunge them in. There's a bonus there if you play Warp Flame Gargoyles. There's Veterans of the Long War. So there's Webway Infiltration. I don't need to worry about paying the points for these because they get the teleport strike anyway. But if there's another unit somewhere, even the Rubik Marines for example, I can deep strike them in. Or the Tzaangors if I want to go for that. So, Cycle of Slaughter, that's the one for the Tzaangors. Get to fight again. I doubt, that's 2 command points, I doubt I'll be using it. They're probably going to get destroyed. Anyway. Yep. So that's it. So some great, there's not many. There's maybe like half a dozen ones, but I'll be using them a fair bit. We've covered the relics. Yeah, this is really good here. Yeah, so psychic powers then. I got access to these two. This is my AHRIMAN, Exalted sorcerers, you know, all drawing from these two disciplines. My aspiring sorcerers were in the Rubik Marines, and here in the Terminators. And then the Demon Prince, he can access from these two, but he also can take Tzeentch. I'll probably take 2 from here, because that's the only time to use those is on him. So he'll draw from here probably. There's a few I've had my eye on. There's Gaze of Fate, which is warp charge value of 6. Reroll a single dice later in your turn. It's like a command point, virtually. Command point reroll, basically, free of charge. So there's that. Useful enough. Bolt of Change, warp charge value of 9. It's quite hard for that to go off. You select an enemy unit with 18. Remember, this becomes 24 with the bonus 6 inches for your psychic powers of 1000 Suns. Smite from these is range 24, not 18. So there's that plus 6 to all of your psychic powers for range, which is excellent. It's D3 mortal wounds. If you slay a character, it's Chaos Spawn. The way reserves work, I don't have that, so I'll not be able to manifest any of the Chaos Spawns, which is a shame, but I can't do that. There's a couple of others. There's Infernal Gateway. It's warp charge value of 8. If manifests, identify the nearest enemy model within 12 or 18,000 suns. That model's unit and every other unit, friend or foe, suffers D3 mortal wounds within 3 inches. Number of mortal wounds inflicted is D6 if the power is manifested on 12+. It's quite tasty, that one, but yeah, 8's not bad. It's doable. So yeah, there's that option. There. Dark Hereticus there. Chaos Armies have access to that. Infernal Gaze is great. Warp charge value of 5. It's like Smite. Similar to that. Death Hex. And again, if some of these are quite high in their cost, I can give them to AHRIMAN, who gets +1 to make these more likely to go off. Death Hex, enemy unit within 12, really it's 18, invisible. It removes invuln saves. I mean, how useful is that? Pretty good. Gift of Chaos, it's roll high in the target's toughness. It's D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. That's ridiculous. I've made that one go off a number of times. Horrific. Psychic power, that one, when it works. Prescience is really helpful, +1 to hit rolls. Diabolic Strength, really helpful. I usually put these kind of powers on Disco Inferno, who is quick enough on his disc to keep up with the Mortal-Fiends, and he grants those powers to them. Warp time as well, crucially I give that to him to enhance, because that's range 3 or range 9 for 1000 Suns, but I need to have a Psycho keep up with these as they gallop up the table, and so Disco Inferno does that job. That's Dark Hereticus, all good. Remember there's Smite as well. I can just chuck out loads of Smite to help clear away screens, mortal wounds on vehicles and so on. No problem at all. Discipline of Change is really good as well. Tzeentch's Firestorm is you roll 9 dice, any 6s is a mortal wound, range 24 for 1000 Suns. Great power. Good one. So you've got Clamour of Tzeentch here, warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select a friendly 1000 Suns unit within 12 inches of the Psyker. To the start of the next psychic phase, your opponent must subtract 1 for any hit rolls. You know, try and protect units. So I've played that a number of times on my Rubik Marines, just try and make them harder to hit. There's Doom Bolt, which is a value of 9, but it's D3 mortal wounds, and it reduces the move characteristic as well. Temporal Manipulation, very, very useful, restoring D3 wounds. Then Weaver of Fates, select 1000 Suns unit within 18. To the start of your next psychic phase, the invuln save that unit is improved by 1. Really, really helpful. And units that don't have an invuln is 5+. Do you know what? I think my entire army has a 5+ invuln save minimum. Yep, everybody has a 5+ invuln save. That's pretty pretty good. And the potential for it for any of these units to have an invuln save enhanced as well. So I think durable enough, hopefully. That's the psychic powers. I think smite's going to be the key. That grinding ability that smite has, and the other powers, and then other psychic powers to grant lots of benefits, enhancements to try and keep this army alive, and to enhance them with their firepower and their close combat ability as well. So there it is. That's the list for the Thousand Sons here. It's a big announcement, really, to have them on, to have them appear on the channel. It's been an exciting project to get this secret army done, working away at it in the background whilst I've been working on other armies and getting them revamped and so on. I've been working on these in the background, but it's about a year's work, just gradually building up these units and working on the list and so on. And so you can check out the Plus channel. You'll see there's a whole section on there, Secret Army, and that's this whole project from start to finish as I've gone along with that. As I mentioned earlier on, there's all the battle reports are on there as well. The painting tutorials, there's actually 3 of them. One for him, one for the Tzaangors, and one for the Rubik Marines as well. So the whole process fully covered in those videos as well. So the next stage is taking this 2000 points army out to war. I hope to put them up against a whole variety of armies. I'm thinking armies like Space Marine armies, any Imperial armies would be great fun to see how well they do. Make your predictions. How well do you think this list is going to do? And then we'll see what happens in the games that come up in the future. Now that the secret's out, I hope to use them interchangeably on both of the channels. So there's still going to be battle reports of these on the Plus channel, but now I can start releasing battle reports here on YouTube as well. So it's great news. Chaos Army is finished and ready for action, and we're going to put them straight out to fight against the various factions on the channel. So check out the start collecting video. There I'll zoom in and you get a nice close-up view of all these models. I'll spin the models right round so it could be a nice helpful painting reference for you. And I'll talk about the actual practical side of collecting this faction as well. But there it is, the army's ready for war. 2000 points, 1000 Sons, Chaos Space Marines. The army is complete. Thanks for watching and tune in next time.